Hey everyone, so I had done a video about my gold medal, true gold medal. I mean, along with the trophy comes this. And then in the TaeKwonDo tournament, there are a few parts. First, you can enter as an individual or as a team or a whole TaeKwonDo hall. And given the fact that you have the demonstrations and then day in the tournament. My first tournament was at the Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach, excuse me. And in Cal State Long Beach, I had a sunny day and rode the family van to the sports arena, and you were given a ID. First you weigh in the day before or 2 days before, and then within those 2 days the instructor always tells the students, don't eat too much, and I do my best, reasonably best. And then you have the pumse, and then comes the sparring competition on the same day. You choose your lunch, but it's mostly the cafeteria lunch, and the cafeteria food hall lunch is usually really good hot dogs, right? And then with that, during lunch you have the demonstration, and my demonstration was Miss Shannon Lee, and she is Bruce Lee's daughter, you know, the national the Chinese national admiration aim for martial arts. I'm not supposed to compare TaeKwonDo with Kung Fu, but just to cover some key points why the TaeKwonDo and karate and TaeKwonDo made it to the Olympics and the Chinese couldn't with the Kung Fu. And with the Kung Fu, it's because Chinese had so many different provinces. So it's the states and the territory in bordered territories in the municipal government among the national government of Chinese population in the continental Asia and People's Republic of China. And main reason, and seriously, having some international law studies extensively, case by case, and commission reader, translator, and organizing the words and paragraphs. One reason why Chinese could not have the Kung Fu into the Olympics yet is because one of the most famous Chinese martial arts key point is the animal style. So they have the, you know, the tiger, the monkey imitator, the snake, and the insects. The locust, and that's another. And some people find that to be inhumane, that the Chinese has studied that in Kung Fu. So, and then Kung Fu was developed in the Great Plains, Zhongyun, and the Great Plain, the central line of plain land, no hills, and that's where they competed. And a lot of many of the Chinese Kung Fu have their home hall and family roots, right? So that was one. But right now they have integrated Kung Fu or mixed Kung Fu named Sanda, and it's more about throwing people off excuse me, and with the knee, so people are standing and you try to sweep them up the feet or grab their leg and just throw them down. And that's the People's Liberation Forces or People's Liberation Uniformed Services outcome of the very much extensive university level study, history, striking power, the techniques, the heritage, the weaponry, the compound where they, eat, sleep, sewing their clothes, and get preparation for the annual celebrations and festivities. So that's one of the reasons why the Chinese might not have the Olympian sports description yet. But once they have their, the tiger and the snake and lotus and the monkey, and then the drunken punches, then it might be very unique and very much nice and structural understanding of what Kung Fu is about. And Kung Fu has at least the inner practice, the Qi, and the outer focus of striking, blocking, so that's the Kung Fu focuses. And I don't mess with the Kung Fu grandmasters. Number one, they don't know me. Number two, they're too busy with the bonsai, the plant pots, or just enjoying their retirement age focuses, or writing their scripts to pass forth the skills and understanding and life philosophy to the youths. So that's how it was. And speaking of inner China, since the 2006, I've been to the border cities of Shenzhen. I've been to a childhood of mine hosting city named the Shenzhen, and in Guangzhou and the Guangdong province, the southern part, and then I've been to the central city, the capital city of that province named Guangzhou, where the banking and trading offices were. And then I had the opportunity and great timing that in 2008 I was up there looking through the books of ancestry and descendancies, and then I was watching TV and they were just non-stop, every channel pointing to Xichuan, Chengdu, and the Beijing Olympics. So with the accountancy and bookkeeping for all my spendings, I went to Xichuan by train. It was such a great experience. And then in Xichuan, Chengdu, I was able to look into the map, and instead of streets going, sideways, diagonally, or downwards, they have a octagon kind of city, and people have to go in circle, inner circle, central circle kind of streets, and then they have points that they can go through. So it's a very nice city planning, nice weather, and of course I always go to the park the sunny day. Hey, anyone welcomes guests, welcome to look up my passport and ID. But some people rather do a low profile way to look for friends. And then from Sichuan, I bought the train tickets to Beijing, and I spent 2 months there before the Olympics, and it was just great. And being my body size, 5'10", 5'9", 160, 180 pounds, the People Liberation uniform servicemen, were kind of curious where I came from. Yeah, so it was a very nice experience. And at that time, there were computing labs and computing video game halls, pool table, the Forbidden City Palace, and there was Starbucks in there. Can you believe that? The people meeting hall, and then every morning the flag racing. And then I was nice and kind and considerate, respectful, utmost distracted from my days, just to utmost paid tribute and attention to have bought flowers to the statue of the Chinese unnamed heroes. And it was very interesting, day, that day. And I think the armies were curious about my athletic skills, and I did a jog, and that was approximately 1.5 miles one way, and running back at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And made it back to my hotel, and nobody disturbed me whatsoever. And I just kind of fell asleep, feeling a demo. Yeah, and the city weather was very cool, but not snowy cold. It was approximately September and October, because once you reach October, it is winter, and Beijing snows, and I don't want to spend money on clothes that I didn't really understand, so that's how it was. It was great. When I was that one day when I was at the Tiananmen Square, I was invited to a trip. Yeah, and there were Koreans there. There were all sorts of people. So let's do another video on Chinese Kung Fu. And but back to the Koreans. Excuse me for my teenager years jokes. That the Koreans only learn the kicks of Kung Fu by scoping the Chinese. But in reality, and studying the history and the whole Asia population, Oriental black hair, and black pupils, Korean was a part of a Chinese empire subdivided population at some point, but in the modern day, we're so busy every single day, just from morning time to dinner time to right now sleeping time. We have our focus is to maintain our company's goals, standards, and work, that there's no time to argue about these things, So there's Korea, the nation, and there is the North Korea, the nation, hand in hand now, and a part of the United Nations organization headquartered in New York, and with so many treaties, and partnership, joint ventures, company, corporate to corporate, inter-exchanges of information and tips, guidance, guidelines, and investments. There's just not much to argue. Same with Japan, same with Vietnam now, same with Beijing, diplomacy, and more. But when it gets to more serious topic, I have to be in full suit to think more, elevated to that level to really talk serious. But one more important item is that weekly schedule. Weekly schedule: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then being spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and all that. The calendar is very important. So the Kung Fu aspect compared to the Taekwondo. I made a recent pointing before you come to me and talk about me, hey, there's something to say. And that was the conflicts in 1960s, 1970s were probably made because the value and commodities vision of storage and spending, eating, wearing, even breathing, and medical had differences, and one day it just kind of went into conflict. So we're all friends in America. We all study together. We use the same book, same edition, and no need to fight, right? Yet, until a cup of alcohol maybe. And when I see you drink, I'm calling Uber. Yeah, so that's how it was. So I'm talking about the conflicts, like the the conflicts on the communistic and more municipal governance, because back then there were no phone line, and people, when they get busy, they lose their key points. Back then there was not much mass manufacturing, and the Asian five lions or five little dragons were Hong Kong, Seoul, Korea, Singapore, we studied that in grade schools. Let me repeat: Hong Kong, Seoul, Singapore, Taiwan, the Chinese Taipei, and one more. Let's not name that one. And let me show you one more thing, okay? Don't get scared. I wore it earlier. So, what does a dragon mean? So without naming the ilisu, a dragon, to me, means the dragon head with the line of healthy body and the tail to finish where you started. And with this given fact, I think that it is a supply manufacturing line from basic raw material. So in a way, one company might be Kia and Hyundai and Kia, Hyundai, and the car manufacturing, Hyundai and Sanyang. So they are all dragons to me because they can start a car manufacturing line with simply the price of raw metal sheets, and then they call around and say, hey, I'm going to make a dragon style manufacturing. Well, they probably don't say that, and it just subconsciously. I need to manufacture a engine, and if you have your engine design, I want to order from you. How much? And am I honored to be a customer on your customer list? And of course, the other phone line, probably the Japanese Honda or Toyota might have another list, and upon kind of voting, then they have the engine and each of the specs, the specifications, and then there it goes into the factory. True, the factory, and then they build the engine and cars, and then they call around again and say, okay, so the car design is done, and right now it is good to have a team of sales and car dealership service and maintenance crew, all circumstances covered. So next, they get that one done, and then they call the in-house lawyer or another lawyer and say, hey, now we need contracts, employment contract, the import-export contract, the insurance contract, and everything read, key point, tick, 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 and then ready to go. And by the way, they need housing. Yeah, so that's how some of them are done. And to me, that's what a dragon is. And sometimes it just, ouch, why do people misinterpret these things? And of course there's the Asian dragon, and then there is the mythology Western dragon with the wings. So that's how it is. I hope that everybody in America that can see these videos, first, excuse my background. It's just my storage room. Alright, so key point of this video, and I'll have the contributions list. Korea and the Korean sports, Taekwondo deserves much applause, and I admire the Korean developments since 1980s and 70s, and I remain to look into the history and focuses, and it was really good to see Mr. President Kim and North Korean Mr. President Kim shaking hands and welcome each other to have a correspondence and communication channel, and it was great. And excuse my jokes back in the teenager years. The Chinese Kung Fu, according to my understanding, since the 2006, the Kung Fu, so far it's not a Olympic sport. It's because of those tiger moves. The monkey distracting you, and the dragon, or the chicken. Yeah. And the Tai Chi. Yeah. And the weaponries. The Chinese had kind of chill, lay back on the whole flink kind of weapons, because if there is a GBI, great body injuries, ouch, insurance, a stack of insurance paper, so no GBI when sparring. It might be restraining, like or restraining like hey, can you let go of my finger? Kind of. Never happened to me. because I always raise my hand. Hey, what? You know, I made an appointment. Oh, I forgot. Wrong street. You know. All right. So, if you want to ask me about the new company that has started named Linguistus, so it's linguist and linguistics, but I name it Linguistus with the US at the end, without A, you know, Linguistus, is because I was so tired and so off the schedule translating my text, English to Chinese, Chinese back to English, and pointing out all the keywords that I suddenly see on TV, asking me for more. Very tight and fitting vocabulary and the word flows for the Hong Kong population. I got tired, so I had to name it Linguistus to prepare all the speeches. For example, for one, right, when you are looking into my words, if I am giving a speech, and then today is blah 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 blah, so that's one. And then the typing, there's typing with fingers spelling it out, and then there's these kind of typing. And then you know how the Chinese English translation is on the phone? It is a software that when you say a certain word, they see the words and they can poke, or they can choose numbers. And I had to point out the bigger picture, because once the Chinese is studied and graduate from the course to have a Chinese word processing certificate and the name badge, they don't talk about the other Chinese language inputs on computers much. And I had to give them a bigger picture. Hey, you're Chongqing. You are the Choksing of Chongqing. You're the Gaofeng, and you're the Pinyin, but you're the Pinyin Northern, and then there's a Pinyin Southern. And then when the people hear too much Southerner Putonghua from the Northerners, they get phone calls. Is she married? Is he married? Yeah. So Linguistus. Why is it a media company? Because I had some inspirations that many of the movies and channels were able to translate the Hollywood films and have their own interpretation and attractiveness at that then in time focuses of society and lifestyle. And as far as linguistics, I know each step and focuses to learn a new language. For one, there is either characters, okay, kind of like Chinese characters, stroke by strokes, and then there are the letters, English, A, B, C, D, E, and put it into one word, B, A, C, K, back. And then the Chinese is downstroke, cross stroke, crossing that cross stroke, downstroke, and so forth, and that makes it into a character. Alright? And then hand scripts. I have really nice Vietnamese friends, and when I look at their journals, it's English letters, pronunciation by French, and given Vietnamese. And then I came back to Hong Kong, I pointed that out. I said, don't worry, my Vietnamese friends are very nice. They just want to get a sense of how Hong Kong living and condition might be. Look, they don't even have a language characters yet. And the French are saying, hey, don't worry, they're well managed. You know, I said, oh, cool, nice. That's what I think. So, somewhat like that, and I had shown and selflessly with integrity that has shared so much American understanding, and why the American scholars are so respected across the globe, and world trade, finances, Wall Street, manufacturing, and car manufacturing designs, interior design, architecture, weaponry, spacecraft, airline, and all that. So, if you ask me if there might be people behind me giving me hints, answer is no. I'm just quick-witted. I learned English at kindergarten age, but I never had much opportunity to speak. But I always thought that English is a easier communication language than Chinese, because if you say something in Chinese, you better know how to write it. Yeah, it's like, whoa, then I'm not talking that much. Chinese is such a pain. You know, that's only one word. And then you write a vocabulary or a terminology, then people will call you up. What does that mean? Can you tell me? Oh, can you tell me? You know? And then that's how you mingle, you know? Yeah. And so that's how it was. Some of the vocabularies I really emphasized in Hong Kong is emphasize, that word emphasize. And what does it mean? Keywords. Some other linguistics that I have shared. So much. And slangs. Subcultures. Style. You know, etiquettes. The hand gestures, you know, where you've been and how you achieve the information. And these kind of videos serves to hereby let everybody know what being a corporate leader and company founder shall maintain and cultivate. Tribute-wise, I pay a lot of tribute to so many great people, and it expressed by my choices of clothing, hair. For example, Mr. Sir OBE Fidel Sassoon, for indirectly having some angels to show me how to manage my hair